Où je suis, moi? Oui, où suis-je? Où est-ce que je suis? Where am I? Où est-ce que je suis? Where am I? Hello, hello. I think I am online with you today. This is the second time I'm using Zoom, and here it's going to be a little bit of a technical challenge, but you're going to be with me, hopefully, with the challenge, which means it's brand new. We want to open the line. Hello. I think one second. We want to open the line, but I have to also stop something here. One second, please. The second time I'm using Zoom. Okay. And here it's going to be a little bit of a technical. Oh, voila. All right. We are all by ourselves. So that means welcome, first of all, to all of you, to You Change the World. Usually, our setting is that we are doing this from another place. I'm going to also remove my background as it is because I think it's really strange, looks strange. So I am going to change it and put it without any filters or anything. So now you're going to see my background. It's not the most beautiful one, but it is. At least you see something. So um, we are Wednesday, the 31st of July. It's 10 a.m. in New York. Welcome to You Change the World. And I would like to invite you to join me here with your questions or with your issues for a short session of coaching. The idea is that first of all, we would get to know each other. Second of all, maybe I'll have some light I can shed with you to gain clarity on an issue that is, please, related more to work than it is to a personal issue or personal issue at work. But it is definitely something that you, if you are a manager or simply someone who works in an environment that is a work environment, a workplace, please do not hesitate to send me a message on LinkedIn right now. And you can just find me on LinkedIn by my first name and last name, Andre Politzer, Politzer. Go on the LinkedIn profile, just send me a message, and I'll send you from the message, I'll send you the link to join me here inside that studio, that virtual studio on Zoom. So that's the idea. When you're going to come or join me, that will be great. You'll be welcome. If you are several people at the same time who want to join me, then you'll have to wait a little bit in the waiting room until I can be available to open up and welcome you here. So that's a very simple rule. I'm set for a half hour as the usual time for this show on a weekly basis, but I can extend it to an hour if you guys are coming and it becomes an interesting kind of forum, a coaching forum, something about really, I want to, in fact, inspire it on the topic that you bring an issue, something that is in your mind, something that, as we say, keeps you up at night, something that really is challenging for you, a dynamic, someone, a situation, an upcoming event, something you're going to have to do that you're not comfortable doing. Those are the usual situations that people bring to the coaching space. We also set objectives, obviously, long-term objectives, and objectives punctually to a session, because even we have a picture of what we want to accomplish for the cycle of the coaching, for the journey, for the coaching engagement, as we call it. That can be 3 months, can be 6 months, can be a year, can be more. But at least usually it's a 6 month commitment. And this commitment brings us to set objectives together. They come from different places. First, your own. That comes from your own sense of prioritizing what you want to address, what you want to develop for yourself as a leader or as a worker or as an individual. What do I want to develop that I really need to develop? And with the help of an external mind that has been trained to do so and is a coach, a professional coach, a certified coach. And that's really what the exercise is about. But we want to extend it a little bit more than we can. There's many, many areas. Within some boundaries, they are usually set by the International Coach Federation. That's the entity, I think, that really worldwide covers the profession of coaching. And I really think that coaching became a real profession, recognized and used today at a very high level of intensity by organizations and individuals, because they know and recognize the benefits of coaching. And it is also guaranteed by different ethics and deontology and policies that are dictated by organizations like the ICF. But I think the ICF is the biggest. And you've got different levels of certified coaches. Doesn't make one better than another. It's just more hours of coaching, maybe more experience of coaching, maybe more absorption, integration, internalization of those competencies that a coach can use more and more fluently with agility, right? But I think each coach out there has its own specialty, an angle, a focus. My focus has been about changing your life, changing the world. I mean, it's very ambitious, but it's not what really it means to change the world. Changing the world is your impact and your influence. That's I think my focus. My focus to have and help you and support you to get you having the impact and the influence you want to have. It is really something you can visualize, that you can really imagine easily in your mind, and you know how you want to impact and influence people. That goes through different ways you communicate, ways that you are present, ways that you are expressing yourself, or how you work, really, technically. If you're a consultant, if you're a researcher, if you're a doctor, whatever the profession that you have, I'm very privileged, really, I think, to coach. I'm sure of being privileged, but I think that it can be seen as a privilege that I have all kinds of people that I'm coaching, individuals and teams and groups of people. There is a distinction to make between all of this. And you know that there's a fourth one. That's mediation. It's not coaching. It's a different certification. It's a different competency, but it has a lot to do with coaching. And one helps the other. That's why I'm doing both. Mediation is about conflict. It's about bringing two entities who are in conflict to an agreement. The worst case, usually, that I can see, because it's personal, because it's very emotional, is a divorce mediation. Terrible. I've got in front of me people who fight, who are emotionally engaged, who sometimes lose completely control of their emotion because there's so much at stake. And in business, there's always a lot of things at stake, but not as much as a marriage, right? When there is children in the middle, when there is so much at stake, and it's complicated. So positioning myself as a mediator or as a coach brings me as a neutral, unbiased entity. If I feel that I have any bias, I stop right there, because I would not be able to do my job. And my job is to really bring the parties to agree and to leave the table of mediation with a feeling that they get a fair outcome, a fair outcome. So they're not going to be very happy about the outcome, usually. It's not about winning and losing. It's not what being in court with a judge and a lawyer and spending millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars on difficult divorce and difficult conflicts. It's about mediation, where we are listening to each other, where the mediator makes people listen to each other, if the mediator can. And last but not least, come to an agreement, different terms that are really the terms of separation. And then really, it's amazing. When you do the divorce one, I can guarantee you, you can do any other mediation because it's really the most emotional one, the most challenging one, I think. And even two parties in business or two teams of people that are not agreeing and use a mediation to come to an agreement, unbelievably powerful to use mediation. Let me check if I have any message out there. I'm going to repeat to you several times during this broadcast that you are invited to join me here. That's why I'm using the Zoom streaming, feature today. I'm usually using Restream, which is still in the background, because you can see me today on YouTube. You can see me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on X, Twitter. Then the podcast will be available in Spotify, in Amazon Podcast, in Apple Podcast, and as usual, called by the name You Change the World. And again, let me remind you, changing the world in this context is your impact and your influence. If you impact and influence one person and one only, and you give your undivided attention to someone who you care for and needs your help, needs your support, doesn't have to be help, it's just your support, your coaching as a leader, comes to you with an intimate kind of setting, because you both have a relationship. And even you're the boss, that person needs you as the boss to direct or guide that person to something. That means that if, and you know, by following up and when you get the feedback, sometimes your impact is gigantic. Your impact is so gigantic. You change the person's life, the person's career. You gave that person a chance. You gave your attention to that person. All of this together makes it unbelievably powerful. And what I'm just trying to convey to you is how much coaching can reveal those things, especially when you become the coach yourself, as a leader, as a manager, as someone, even in a family, who has influence over the other people. You change the world when you change someone's perspective to a positive horizon when the person is depressed, or when this person is down, this person is confused, lost. When it is the case and you bring light and you bring clarity, you change the person. So then a person is a world by himself or by herself. That's definitely true. This is how I think that you change the world. Now, I'll give you another example. You walk in the street, and now someone comes to you and says, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I see you now. I haven't seen you in so many years. You know what happened when you said that to me? You changed my life. You did this to me. And you know, consequently to what you did and you told me, I did this and I did that. And the outcome was, or I made money, or I got children, or I got a huge blessing in my life, thanks to what you said. You helped me remove a big, a big bone, a big obstacle, because you said what you said. Sometimes you just see this clearly for someone else, because you're just the outside entity, like me, like many coaches like me. We're just a sounding board most of the time. We're actively listening to our clients. That just by doing that, we hear things that the client doesn't hear. We hear things that the client doesn't know that they say. We hear the non-spoken. Just for that example, we're hearing the non-spoken. Don't you find this powerful? I'm not trying to sell you coaching, by the way. Today is a pilot. Today is a pilot, so I'm really hoping whoever watches to send me a message on LinkedIn that you want to join in. I'll send you a link to join me in. So please, come over and let's try to exchange. So you can be, very important. You don't have to be on camera and you don't have to show your name. You can be totally anonymous. We'll hear your voice like a radio show. There's so many radio shows when people call in. Well, that's the idea. You call in and I'm welcoming you in that space. And then we work with each other. We work together. We work together on something that you want to bring here. And all the people who are watching over there realize what's happening. and hopefully I'm not demonstrating anything, just most of the time I would say that in that moment something happens, and I would love for you, all of you, to watch what happens. So this is why I'm doing this, and I hope it's going to be successful, that I'll have only one person join, it will be enough. And if nobody joins, well, I'll keep you entertained, and I'll keep you informed of different things that I have in mind anyway. And today, I'm going to bring you a topic while we're waiting for someone to join, but I don't see anything coming yet. I don't have a producer, so I have to do all of this by myself. So forgive me if it takes some hesitations and some disarray. But it is technology, and I'm not the best at that, but I'm trying to learn every day. So the topic that I want to bring here now is a very important topic, something that helps people very, very much. It's situational. That means you are going to adapt a part of your person, something about your own persona, authentic persona. I said that in the past, but I repeat this every day. We are going to analyze your persona first. Then you bring a situation in. Let's take an example, because just talking like this is not going to give you a lot of clarity. Just an example. You have a meeting this afternoon at 3 p.m. with a challenging person in your team. That person is reluctant to accept change. You have to implement a new ER system, or something that is going to be a new technology. That person is very resistant. That person has been in the company for 20, 30 years and used to work on habits that that person doesn't feel he can change, she can change. Let's say a he, just not because I'm discriminating, but just I have to take one gender. So let's say he. And very careful with these things. He is resistant to change. You have a meeting at 3 this afternoon. You're the leader. You know that person is challenging. You even know that person doesn't have really a big chemistry with you. It's not really connecting. But you still are the manager, the team leader. That person is part of your team, and this person reports to you. Now we have the whole context, right? Resistance to change. That person is a direct report. That person doesn't like you so much. You feel that way. That person never seems to be very positive about change when you are all together with the team, or when you talk about that change, especially. But now the clock is ticking. We have to implement that technology, and he's still resistant. He doesn't realize that he's losing here, that he's the one that needs to catch up. He is the one that needs to be adaptable. And there is nothing wrong about this new technology. It's all for the better, but he doesn't get it. And he only sees his own little perimeter, his own little world, where he feels unable. He has lack of confidence in himself that he can handle that. And unfortunately, it's a current situation. Okay, now we have a situation. That's what I always ask you. A situation first, an example. Now we can categorize this later when we have different situations and we see they have different kind of dynamics. But let's say, just for the sake of demonstrating in something, that for that situation, we're going to call it difficult conversation. When I have a difficult conversation with someone who resists to change, that's the category. What do I do about me now to make the best of myself in this presence, in this impact I can have, influence I can have on this person? What should I do to make this meeting as successful as possible? 3 things, 3 tips, just a little bit of a structure here. We first assess what part of our persona we want to tackle to just handle this case. Maybe something about empathy in my persona. I've been always known, and I've been always working on this. I'm empathetic. So I did need to extract this from myself. I'm going to use the maximum empathy so that this person doesn't detect anything that is contrary to that. I'm accepting, I'm including this person, I'm completely understanding his feelings, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to express it. That's very part of me. I have this in my person, so I can really use this. Second, I'm a happy person. I'm a positive person. That's in my persona. So I can smile. I can give that person strength. I can encourage this person. I can share positivity. I can at least only diffuse a positive energy to this person. That's fantastic. Second part of my persona, I have to use. Thirdly, in my persona, still my persona, this is what I'm assessing right now. What am I needing? It's like, you examine before you take off with a plane that everything is here and you have all the resources needed to make a successful flight. You need fuel. You need your wings to be fixed. You need to fixed to the plane. You need to check all different things that work. You have to test everything. And when you tested everything, then you are ready to take off. I think it's about the same thing. I'm preparing now. And the first thing I look at is where are my personal resource. The personal resource, the strongest one I have is my persona, my charisma, my personality, my voice, the whole thing, my whole body, my whole presence with this person later this afternoon at 3 p.m. That's the situation I have to prepare for. Second tool that I'm encouraging my clients to use is visualization. Visualization is to close your eyes and imagine. You have to use your imagination. I will say it's more than 90% people able to do that, but there is definitely a minority of people who are having a problem imagining or have no imagination, so to speak, because I think that everybody has imagination. It's one part of the brain that really imagines, creates, this whole part of the brain that you can definitely use if you know where to find it. And some people never needs it, so they never practice imagination. People are very rational, very mathematical, very, very logical. They don't really go to their imagination too much. It's not saying that everybody who is mathematical, logical, matrix-minded would be not able to use imagination. But here, what I'm asking you is to close your eyes and visualize yourself in that scene at 3 p.m. in front of Jack, who is the one who resists, who is 60 years old, who in a few years will retire, who really doesn't see any point for him to make any effort proactively to adapt to this new technology and to be a follower, a team player, to align himself to something that is needed for him, but he doesn't realize how much it's needed for him to keep his job, to stay efficient, to feel that he's still very productive. So it's also about this confidence, this self-confidence, maybe self-esteem. We're not psychologists, we're not therapists, but we definitely want to show empathy to all these feelings that a person can have. So imagine yourself, visualize yourself in that situation of conflictual conversation, difficult conversation. And the third and last is really your objective. What do you want him to come to? Realistically, what this conversation can bring us to, reasonably. If it would be just one layer or a first thought, right? We do gradual. We go by little steps. What is that first little step you would love to be accomplished during this conversation? You have to also vision of that. And I think those are the three elements that you can prepare. Now, when we go back to the first one and the persona one, where we assessed everything about my person, I forgot to mention something very important, is that we call executive presence. It's how you're going to be in that meeting. I would even think about how I'm going to be dressed, probably the way I am because it's this afternoon. But if I have to do any adjustment, I will. I want the person to feel that, it's a meeting of dignity, or I am respecting that person. I'm not going to go on a PJ or with my hair all over the place. Me, I don't have much of a challenge with that. So this is what I'm trying to say. You have to also imagine yourself with your voice, with your body, with your head, with your face, everything. And you know what? Practice it like an actor does in his dressing room before going under the spotlight. Because all I'm just shared with you is an acting method. And actors are professional about foreseeing themselves, projecting themselves into the scene where they're going to be in a few minutes or later when they're going to start performing. It's a performance. It's performing as best as you can be for a situation that is well defined. Okay, here it's about 20, about the half hour completion, about 10:30 very soon, and I don't see anyone joining. No one is coming to join this show, unfortunately. Well, we're going to try again. I'm going to continue to use Zoom from now on and continue to invite over whoever wants to join. Again, the way to do this is simple. You go on LinkedIn, you send me a direct message on LinkedIn that you want to join me. You can join me anonymously by not being on camera and by not showing your name. And then we can definitely have your voice talking to me. And we are a session together, very short or longer, to address an issue. One, you want to bring here to coaching. And okay, you'll benefit from it. I'm sure you'll have a takeaway or two, but also the people who are watching will. So it's very generous from you if you're coming and you allow people to see something about your experience, about what you're experiencing that if you find challenging. And the purpose of that is that people who are watching can benefit from your experience and from your takeaways. So I'll try to do my best job to do that as I do every day, many times a day, or several times a day, not so many times every day. Not in July. I'm a little bit in a quieter side this time, and it's great because I can take care of different things because it's very engaging. You know, coaching is a very engaging time. I completely focused with my client, cannot be more focused than that. I give it all 100%. And because I do that, it's really draining me. At the end of the day, I'm totally drained because I think I give everything I can give. And this is why I'm doing this profession with passion and fascination, because everybody's so fascinating, so incredible people that I have, that I am privileged to coach every day. So I think we're going to reach our end here. So I leave you with this aspect of executive presence, of preparing for it, of being intentional about that presence, about visualizing yourself ahead of time, preparing yourself, not for the content, not for the things that you're going to say, that you know what you want to say. You want to, in this example I gave you, you know perfectly what this person needs to know in order to be efficient and operational using a new technology. But the person is reluctant. The person is resistant. There is an amount of persuasion to use, yes, but before anything, it's to be and bring yourself in front of that person to be the change agent, the influence that the person needs. And even that person is a little cold about the relationship with you because you're the boss, or because that person fears you, or is not comfortable with you, or not comfortable with himself in this case, whichever is the root of the problem, we're going to find out when we coach him. And when we coach him, when we are leading him, give him some directions, if the person needs a framework, if the person is training, that all the person here that needs something that it didn't get yet. And now the clock is ticking. It's time to have him align and adopt, embrace this new technology, and the person is still resistant. Here is a good example. You use your imagination, you use your visualization, you use your own person that you know that you can play that way. You rehearse, you practice, and you come under the spotlight with this person on stage, performing your own self to have the most efficient meeting with that person. I hope it resonates with you. It resonates with many people. And I am totally convinced that using this kind of method can bring you very far into your leadership in many, many aspects and the challenges that you're facing every day. Thank you for watching today. Thank you for listening. And again, I invite you to join me in this space, but starting next week. As you today, it was new and a pilot, I think, even people tried, I don't know. All I had to ask you to do, and it's not a lot, was to send me a message that you want to join. And then I will send you a link. And that link that you click on will bring you right here in the waiting room, and I will let you in. This is very simple. So I'll do that again next week and wish you in the time being a wonderful rest of this week and an upcoming weekend. Enjoy the nice weather if you have so. Enjoy the work that you have. Enjoy the life that you have. And probably, I would say, it's not an advice, it's definitely the wisdom of life is to just look at how many blessings we have so that we can live positively and we can share that positivity around us because it's very inspiring. And it changes the world. Definitely, a world today that is pretty dark, pretty confused, pretty conflictual. I want to finish on this note. I wrote this morning my first posting that fights politics, but to this extent. I was bold and I said, I have enough. I don't want to watch news. I don't want to listen to news. I want to read news about the elections in the United States of America. This is the lowest, the most vulgar, the most basic, almost below the sense of humanity type of fight that I've ever seen. All the candidates they find, and whoever it is, the name of the game, a debate or the day-to-day or a rally or anything, is to kind of pushing down the other candidate. It's not about sharing a vision. It's not about telling the people what I want for this country and what I would do different so that this country can improve and get better. Yeah, you get those slogans, those sentences, but you don't hear the how, you don't hear the details of how the plan is about doing so. So I'm not for one candidate over another. This is why I'm feeling so good to say it, because this is not a place here to do politics or talk about elections. I'm talking about leadership. And I'm taking that extra few minutes because I made that posting, but I want to also make a statement. I feel that hopefully, they're going to wake up out there and become human and smart, because I think the citizens of this country are a little bit smarter than they think. We don't need a wrestling ring in front of us for election. We need two candidates to offer a program, to offer a plan, offer a vision, and then we see for ourselves, for our community, for our country, what could be the best candidate to bring this country to growth and to a different place, because the country is in a bad place right now. The world is in a bad place. How this person is going to handle potential wars, God forbid, very difficult, very hard and challenging situations, on what these people are basing their decisions. Are they really democratic? Are they all the values of this country that they were based on? All the history of this country or another country, because other countries do about the same, because everybody goes after the model of the US. Right now, let me just tell you, there is no model to follow. This is, in fact, the models not to follow. This is a shame. And I hope that the candidates are ashamed of themselves, that they're doing their campaign the way they do. I hope, maybe, who knows, they might even listen to me, or someone in their party to listen to me. Please tell them to stop this and start to be a little bit more generous about sharing their vision. We want to know from a leader what the vision is and not what they think about the opponent. And it keeps also the country so divided. We need to have intelligent conversations. We need to lift the level of this election because it's so low. It's unbelievably low. And I don't know why. I'm not an historian. I'm not a politician. I cannot analyze why this went so bad, so low, so vulgar, so much animosity, pointing fingers to each other. And this is really tiring. Aren't you tired of it? Aren't you bored about this? It doesn't really give me any pleasure, any interesting insight. I don't learn anything about it. I'm just scared to have these people leading this country because all they have in mind is to just push down the other opponent because they have another opinion. So as long as it's going to be a wrestling like this, we're going to have to take a chance. But this is not very promising. I wanted to share that with you. It's about leadership, and I think leadership is about models. It's about examples, and definitely about benchmarking, excellence, quality, vision, positivity. All those things that bring a country to a better place and people and citizens to a better place. You change the world by changing this kind of dynamic, this kind of debates and election this way. Where does it get us? Hopefully, you heard me. Hopefully, you agree with me. And hopefully, you can do something about it. All I could do today was to do this and include this into this show today, because it's a little bit of an open show. And hopefully we'll see something happen that is positive about it, because we really need improvements in all these situations and in all this way of leading and leadership. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.